A very good evening to everyone on this Monday night, and that is SimRace South Africa time again. And yeah, happy Valentine's Day, everyone, by the way. If you don't have anything better to do, you're either watching us live now, thank you very much for joining us, or maybe you're just going to catch the broadcast, the recording on another day this week. So thanks for you who are with us. It's good to have you. I'm Ryan Hill, and I'm going to be taking you through simGP today. So it's the open wheeler formula series we have here at SimRace South Africa. And of course, we are back for round 2. Coming out of round 1 at Zandvoort last time, we are now at Road Atlanta. You can see from the thumbnail in the back end. I'm going to cut over to the main feed. And just as we are at the tail end of practice session now, and it's going to tick over into qualifying. But yeah, so it's good to be back. I always enjoy watching the open wheelers. I'm not so good at racing them. I far prefer the tin tops, but it's always great to see some quick guys really bringing out the best in these cars on track today. Let me get you a little bit of audio. I think the helicopter camera is a little bit quiet. So we see some engines spooling up. We can go on board with Joshua van Rensburg as he takes us around. So yeah, as you can see, we're at Road Atlanta, quite a famous track. Just outside of Georgia, United States. It's quite a popular track. It's been used for a large number of years, I think since around 1970 or so. Home to the Petit Le Mans, as well as the American Motor Association motorcycle races. Michelin also recently acquired the naming rights to the track a few years ago, so you can see there's a lot of Michelin branding and so on around the track, which has become quite famous for as well. You can see someone doing donuts in the pit lane there. It looks like one of the BWR cars. Having a little bit of fun at the tail end of practice. And yeah, let's kick over into qualifying. So just to reacquaint you with the format for the series, we have 15 minutes of qualifying today, and then we're going to go into a 1-hour race. It's essentially a sprint race. There is one mandatory pit stop though, which we'll chat about a little bit down the line. There's a pit window involved as well, so you know, we've set it to 10 minutes after the start of the race. The pit window opens and the pit window will close again 10 minutes before the end of the race. So that is essentially the time they have to either fill up with 1 liter of fuel minimum, or swap the tires, or do a bit of both. That's completely up to the drivers. As we sit in a little bit of overtime, just waiting for the clock to tick over. We were expecting 22 drivers in Division 1 tonight. I have received one apologies from Adrian Nell. Unfortunately, he's stuck at work. But otherwise, I do believe we should have a full field of 21 other drivers. So still in for a good race tonight. As we see all cars piling out of the pits just to try and get first out of the gates. Well, that's not a great start there by Emil as he clips a little bit of the grass. And immediately it looks like Marius Skuman just trying to get track position there in front of him as he capitalizes on that little bit of a mistake by Emil. You can see the cars desperately trying to warm their tires as well, which is a little bit of an indication on what we've got going with the weather this evening. So let me actually bring that up. We can see what's cooking on this track today. So it is midday at the moment, but you can see it is very cold. The ambient temperature just 5 degrees, and the track temperature hasn't warmed up that much yet. It is a crisp 10 degrees Celsius. Wind's really negligible, nothing really to write home on there. The grip though is there, starting off at 99% with a gain of just 5 laps, so I think the drivers will enjoy a good amount of traction on track today. So as we just see the cars make their way around, we're also enjoying a couple of new graphics on screen today. So I hope to be able to provide you with a couple of extra insights. Just leveraging those new graphics. At the bottom middle of your screen, you can see a couple of graphics going on, including the current lap time of the driver. We've also got their best lap, their last lap, and their pred, so that's standing for predicted lap as well, which is quite interesting. So you can keep an eye on that, and we'll see where they expect to pop up on the leaderboard. On the right hand side there, you can see the little traditional purple sector. That means Emil's just gone best in Sector 1. We'll see what his Sector 2 time is and his Sector 3 as it pops up as well. Expect to see that to change quite a lot as drivers complete a few more laps. The grip of the track obviously progressing and becoming more and more rubbered in. And we'll see how that goes. So yeah, hopefully you enjoy those new graphics. We've also got the tire compound. There's only one compound, of course, for the Supreme Formula Supreme cars. But we've also got the push to pass indicators on the leaderboard, which are obviously disabled during the qualifying session. They're only available during practice as well as race sessions. So once the race starts, we'll see those come into play as well. We've just seen Tian Elof put himself up on P1 for now, followed by Philip Minnar and Jeremy de Villiers. But yeah, still lots of time left in the session, so stay tuned and see how that progresses. A quick hello to everyone in chat. Sharon Skimanas here again, obviously shouting for the hubby, Marius, so we'll see how he gets on for SimRace Extreme. We've also got Adele van Rensburg in the chat. Saying good luck to Peter and Joshua van Rensburg, of course. How's it, Hardest? Good to see you, man. Sean, how's it, man? Bradley, shouting for Team BWR. That's Black Widow Racing, of course. That'll be Michael Rue, of course. We can just quickly have a little hop to him just to give a shout out to the BWR team. You can see he's closely following the Team Lotus Register. The Lotus Register TLR Racing, of course. They're just in the foreground. Well, now the background as the camera flips around direction. So you can see how Grant, or Fridge as he's come to be known in all his personal and work circles, Fridge Findley, see how he gets on. We can also see on the little timing board now names flicking up in red, so that is when they've had a little bit of an off-track excursion, which is also going to help me to bounce around and spot incidents and things like that tonight. Speaking of where we are, let's have a quick look at the track layouts again. So I mentioned we got Road Atlanta. It's about a 12-corner affair. Quite a popular track. It's got a few, well, the main pit straight, I'll say, is a bit of a short straight. The longest straight essentially is what you see between there and after at the top, turns 7, 8, 9, and 10, just before the chicane essentially of turn 10. It's not quite straight, but it's straight enough that you can literally go flat out. So we're going to see cars topping just under 300 kilometers an hour at the end of that straight. And with the push to pass, with a little bit of a draft, I mean, there could be some interesting, action happening down that back straight, some passes and whatnot. And we'll have to see how drivers can get on at the tough braking point between that chicane of the turn 10A and B. You see it marked out there at the top there. I do want to just talk a little bit about the cars again. The Formula Supreme, of course, that we're racing, I did mention it in the last round, but just a little bit of a refresher. So it's a new car to SimRace South Africa this season. It's modeled after the Formula Nippon, or I think it's now become known as the Japanese Super Formula, essentially, championship. So yeah, just kind of modeling off that. They still race today, and the car mod, of course, made by the RSS Race Sim Studio, faithfully reproduced essentially the car model itself. Just so you can see Ruben getting all over those curbs there coming through the S's. A little bit about the car. It's a 2-liter inline 4, 6-speed paddle shift gearbox, of course. Weight's about 1,400 pounds or 660 kgs. Power output's about 543 horsepower or 405 kilowatts. Direct fuel injection, single turbocharged. Wheelbase, it's a little over 3 meters, 3.1 I think. Yeah, the thing I mentioned earlier that's quite interesting about it is you have this push to pass feature, which we're going to come to see in the race, which allows for an additional 5 kilograms per hour of fuel flow to be used when active, essentially increasing the power of the car, and like its namesake, used for push to pass. But not only just for push to pass, but can be used in a defensive manner as well. As we see the little green lights just below the T-cam, just above the halo, as we see the front view of Ruben's car, you can see that little green light showing. That is going to be flashing when push to pass is active, and I believe the rear of the cars also will be showing that, so that drivers can see it in their mirrors if they've activated it, for instance. And we want to see if I can go on board, perhaps looking behind. It's not quite the right view, perhaps there. Any rear view of the car that you see, as maybe we can see Philip as he comes through. Essentially, at the back of the wing, there are 2 lights on either side of the car, and those will be lit up as well. Without further ado, I've got 2 track videos to show you today. The first one I'm going to show you is a real-life lap, I guess, hot lap, just put in place by Radical, and that will give you just a nice idea of the track in real life. So let's roll that tape. There you have it. That is just a little clip of the, I think it's the SR3 Radical sports car going around Road Atlanta, and that'll give you a good idea of what the track really looks like in real life. And in a second, we're going to have a look at our actual hot lap guide put together by Philip. So thanks very much, Philip, as we see him on track right now, going around in the Grumpy Monkey livery, just going out for another lap. Quick check up on qualifying. We have about 5 minutes left, so let's just click around a bit and see how everyone is getting on. Still got a meal at the top here, currently a little bit down on his, a little bit up on his delta, should I say, 1.124435 over there. Just sort of coming through here in position 2. Currently we see he's gone purple sector in sector. Oh, he's just teleported back to pits, so he must have been not happy with what was going on there. Philip Minnar out again. He is still trying to improve quite a bit here. That is interesting. His delta showing -3, which is quite interesting. We'll keep an eye on him. Tion Ela, for some reason, is sporting an Odin racing car and also seems to be warming his tires very aggressively. His ping is also not looking too healthy. Hopefully that can stabilize before causes any issues. But yeah, Tion in the Odin Racing livery. I can tell you that he is not in Team Odin, mainly because I am the principal of Team Odin. So I think he has accidentally picked the wrong livery before joining the server, unfortunately. But we know Tion's quick, so I don't mind him being in the car right now. Let's just hope he stays out of contact with everyone else on the track due to his ping at the moment. It does seem to be improving a little bit. Jeremy de Villiers right now, it's not improving a Sector 1 time for now. We've got Morris Skuman currently sitting in P6 at the moment for Sim Race Extreme. Just getting out there with Gerard Pretorius, a little bit behind as well. Mark van Rensburg in BWR. We've got Hannes van Veek as well. The BWR cars are out in force tonight. Peter van Rensburg as well in SRE. Lawrence Stern, so there's a genuine Odin Racing livery for you as well. Lawrence joining us from the UK today for this race. Fridge, we mentioned before, for Team Lotus Racing. Warner Breed, good to see him out on track. Flying Gypsies. Sass van der Westhuizen in the Grumpy Monkey livery as well. Got Ruben Kruger currently in the pits. Looks like he is about to go out for another lap. Behind for Nickert, Byron Thompson is out there tonight. We've got Ronald Childs again for BWR and another BWR of Michael Rue. And Rob van der Heever currently in the pits as well, piling out there. And last but not least, we have Lee Forster going around as well. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to quickly roll the tape from Philip Minnaar, just for the official hot lap guide, so sit back and enjoy.
Hey guys, Philip here, welcome to an onboard lap at Road Atlanta in the RSS Formula Supreme for round 2 of the simGP series. It's a very tricky combo with no room for error, especially in race trim with all the fuel we're going to be carrying. But yeah, I'm quite interested in seeing what drivers will be doing today. And yeah, without wasting any time, let's get into the lap. Coming up to T1. Easy flat, we're just trying to put all of our focus into turn 2 now, aiming for that tree and then swerving to the left, using a bit of the entry curb, avoiding the inside curb and using all of the exit curb you can. Up to turn 5, going through these S's, easy flat through the S's, and then using all of the entry curb, inside curb and exit curb, as you can see, even jumping over the exit curb there. Then into turn 7, we're braking at the 200 board, and then riding that camber the track gives you, the free grip, and then into the off camber right hander, turn 8, onto this long back straight where we're going to be doing 294-ish, 296, maybe even 300 kph if gearing allows it. And yeah, coming into the last chicane, the quite an important corner this, clipping all the grass you can, and then into the right hander you want to be flat on the power on the apex into 4th, and use all of the exit and straighten out your line, do the line here, and then yeah, across the line we go for 101.833.
There's a cracker of a lap there by Philip. So just put our desktop audio back on. So we've got about 40 seconds left of qualifying. I want to quickly show you the HLQ times just from early in the week. So just a reminder, the drivers have the entire week from Monday to Sunday to put their best lap times forward on the Grumpy Monkey sponsored HLQ service. And this is how the top 22 drivers all in Div1 tonight fared. So we can see Neil de Villiers topping the charts, Joseph van Rensburg and Marius Schoeman rounding up the top 3 there. Another thing to call out is just the amount of laps that some guys put in practice. I think Marius Schoeman there with 674 laps. That is an insane amount of practice. Just on the hot lap servers as well. I mean, just noting that some of them will have also been done offline or in race condition practice as well. So kudos for the amount of preparation going into their Marius. I hope it pays off tonight. Just as we go into overtime, I want to have a quick look at the champion standings as well. Coming out of round 1, we can see Adrian Nell topping the charts, Mark van Rensburg and Tion Elof. So yeah, doing very well for themselves there. I do need to flick back now just to see who is still on their hot laps. Neil de Villiers seemingly going out again, but he's in overtime. Nope, he's not going to have enough time. Who else is on the charts here? Jeremy de Villiers is on a lap. Doesn't seem to be improving on his delta. Fridge is stopped on track, so he's not going to be doing any better. Sass is not improving on his delta either, unfortunately for him, so no improvement there. Ruben Kruger still out. He is down in his delta, unfortunately. Mike has just popped himself up in 16th as he crosses the line. Ruben is not out. Lee Foster is a hell of a lot up on his delta. Can he bank this lap? And that will essentially not improve him on the grid as he dives into the pit lane itself. So yeah, it looks there is your grid. We've got Emile de Villiers on front, Tion Elof on second position on the front row, and then second row we've got Joseph van Rensburg followed by Philip Minnaar. We're in a little bit of overtime. Let me see if I have a time for a short 30 seconds. There we go, still sitting in overtime, and it's ticking over now, so the cars are going to be forming the grid, just as drivers will be finalizing their setups, double checking their pit stop strategies, that sort of thing, and forming the grid. Another interesting thing you can see about Road Atlanta, remember how we mentioned that the main straight or the pit straight was very short, and you can see as a result of that, cars are actually starting around the bend of the final corner. So that's going to be very interesting as we are waiting for a standing start here as well. It is not a formation lap or rolling start. So as soon as those 6 red lights come on and then go off, we'll be under race conditions. So yeah, we'll see here the 6 lights are getting activated. Cars are revving up the engines, waiting for the start. We have 3, 4, 5, 6 lights waiting for them to go off. And away they go. Tire grid got off pretty cleanly so far. Let's see how they get as they dive down to T1. Looks like Emil de Villiers is still ahead of Joseph van Rensburg, Philip Minot in 3rd. So we try and get a little bit of a view of the S's coming by just to make sure. It looks like everyone has got away extremely cleanly. So that is a great start by the entire field. So they plow their way through the S's and already now heading down to turn 5, essentially those hairpin as they make their way onto the back straight. As we can see everything going down. As you'll see the names filtering down onto the tower as well. On the top left you'll see who is using their push to pass activations. Of course the top few all starting with 10. A bunch have gone into 9. When they flash orange, that means that they're currently in use. When they go blue, that means they're in the cooldown period. And it waits, I'm not quite sure offhand, I think it's about 30 seconds before they can reactivate them. It'll go green when it's ready for use again. So here you can see it's a really good start by the majority of the field. I have seen that a couple of other drivers seem to be having some issues further down the field. There seem to be some cars still stuck on the back straight, so I'm not entirely sure what happened there. But we will wait for all the drivers to make their way around. And the timing board should hopefully sort itself out as well. I'm not sure why the entire tower isn't showing right now, apologies for that. Testing out some new graphics on the stream tonight. Emil de Villiers still heading the pack then, of course, followed by Joseph van Rensburg and Philip Minot. Maurice Kuman nipping at their heels in 4th position currently. I'm going to see if I can rotate the tower. Let's see, put it into gaps mode. There we go, that's much better. Now we can see the entire field on the timing tower, and we can see the gaps included on them as well. We can see the tire that they're in. You can see if they're in the pits. I see Mark van Rensburg and Rubik are currently in the pits. Not sure what happened to them. If they maybe either had a collision or an incident, or alternatively made a blups and started on their qualifying setup or something. But we'll keep an eye on them on how they progress through the field tonight. Currently on board with Lawrence Sterner, looking at the back of Ricardo Pretorius and Hannes van Beek. Just about to start his trip through the S's there. Let's see just how aggressive some guys get onto these curbs. Maybe not in the early stage of this race while they're still trying to keep things tight. He's certainly getting really wide over that exit curb though. Lawrence Sterner back at corner 3, just trying to make his way up to him. But for now, the rest of the field looking pretty smooth. I have a look a little bit up at Philip Minot racing for Grumpy Monkey Sim Racing, as you can see in the bottom right there, the little team indicated underneath the name. So for any driver who's provided us with a custom livery, we can display on screen for you guys tonight. That should be showing the team name. There are a couple of drivers that have just selected one of the default liveries, which is perfectly fine, and they will just show whatever the default livery team name is. Bradley Taylor with a little bit of inside information from trackside. He says Mark unfortunately had a spin from the curbs on the outside of turn 4. That's unfortunate. We'll see if he can make a recovery drive back up the pack. As we're sitting on board with Ronald Charles at the moment, sort of mid-pack here battles. You can see a little bit of traffic just behind him as well, as he runs extremely wide over that curb there. Just heading down into turn 5, that wide sweeping hairpin onto the back straight. Just looking a little bit further up the field again now. I do want to see if I can get the timing tower to be the deltas versus the gap intervals. That's a better view. Then we can keep a good eye for you on where the battles are happening on track. The splits are happening as well, so it looks like we've got some action here with Carrot Victorious, just slightly behind Hannes van Beek there in the BWR car. Just go on board here as he tries to get around that car of Lawrence Sterner, I believe it was, just having a little bit of a moment, just diving out of the way there. Just how treacherous this track can be with all the elevation changes, and I think that the curves are also quite bumpy. You can see the green light flashing of the push to pass for Carrot Victorious as he's activated it, trying to find his way around Hannes van Beek. He pulls into the inside, going down the main straight, so obviously having a good tow there combined with push to pass, making that move stick. Although Hannes is diving up the inside of this chicane here, turn 10 A and B. Just before they go into the long sweeping, we've got a BWR going very wide there of Hannes van Beek. Goes a little bit of a farming, but it looks like he has managed to keep it back on track, so he's recovered there a little bit. That has allowed Lawrence Sterner and Carrot Victorious to make their way past. And for now, let's go back on board with Lawrence Sterner now, as we can see just how treacherous these S-bends are. Bit of a lift as the power's on. You're allowed to run wide there, where you just saw there was no penalty for doing so. It'll be hard on the backs coming through the sweeping hander. Sweeping right-hander, that is, and then onto the long back straight, and he'll floor it until he reaches about 300 k's an hour. But just behind him, we can see the cars that are potentially looking to close that gap so they can get within that draft reach, or potentially just with a little bit of P2P have a bit of help. Hein van Niekerk, we can see, has got his activated as it goes into cooldown mode at the moment. We're about to therein. A couple of cars coming down this main straight looking to make their way past. Hannes just pulling onto the main straight again with it looks like Corner Bridge just behind him. Had a little look there as he saw the car jiggle out to the right. Villiers at the top end of the field, just completing a 6th lap now with a healthy gap to Philip Minard at just over 5 seconds, so he's got a monumental lead rather. And unfortunately we've seen Ruben Kruger disconnect from the race, unfortunately, and looks like Byron Thompson has DNF'd as well, unfortunately, so we've lost 2 drivers now. Sas van der Westhuizen making a position up on Lee Forster, is now looking very racy behind the back of Hein van Niekerk, so we'll have to see how he gets on with that. Onto that long back straight now. We'll be trying to watch those intervals, see if he's gaining or not. Victorious currently in P7, just a half a second behind Lawrence Sterner, catching, as someone goes extremely wide off the back of that corner. Is that Cornet? Yeah, everyone seems to be carrying on safely there, so whoever it was recovered okay. We've got a position change here up at the front end of the field. Morris Kimmen has just passed Josia van Rensburg. Further down the field we've got Carrot Victorious has just made a move on Lawrence Sterner as well. Let's see here, Lawrence Sterner just up in the draft. Carrot Victorious is trying to go defensive on the inside line, but I think Lawrence has made that move stick. Flick to the rear end of him, and it looks like that move is safely done. The car's looking ever so twitchy behind them as they go through these S's. under braking here, and we'll see what happens just before turn 5. And then the very quick 6 that comes up before that main straight. He's got Pretorius all over his rear. I'm very curious to see if he is tempted by push to pass. I think it looks like Hannes van Beek. You can see his light flashing on the inside, and he's pulled over to the inside lane, trying to get a good draft on Pretorius. He's already passed. Is he going to leap from 2 cars here? I think he may get past Lawrence Sterner as well. Squeezes his way past and makes the position up 2. Fantastic driving there. We see Cornet Breed also cashing in there on the back of that straight, getting past. So Pretorius not having a great time on that particular lap. Joseph van Rensburg has just dived into the pits. That is very interesting. The pit lane is just open, so is that an extremely early strategic pit, like a massive undercut? Or is he pitting early to repair some sort of damage? We'll have to see. Depending on where he comes out and how his race goes, what will unfold there. Cornet Breed stuck in some traffic. Oh, there's a big spin at the back. Was that Peter van Rensburg? No. Who was that in the BWR car? Fortunately having a bit of a moment there. Hannes van Beek has just dropped it to Lawrence Sterner. There's a chance it was him. There's a couple of BWR cars on track tonight, so I'm just trying to keep track of all of them. As we see Rob van der Heever in the pits as well, supposedly in the SimRace Extreme livery. Again, an interesting decision. Is this a very early, deliberate pit stop? Or something like repairing damage as soon as the pit window is open to prevent having to pit twice? Maybe he was nursing some damage there from an initial few laps. Back up on board, Lawrence Sterner is on a good lap, up 10th on his current lap time. Still trying to stay in contention with the front runners in P5, but he's going to have all sorts of problems as Hannes van Beek in the BWR car is behind him now onto the start of the back straight. And that is in draft / push to pass territory. But it looks like he's got a good enough momentum coming out of that corner for now to stay ahead for the time being. Looking a bit further down the field, we've got Cornet Breed just about a half a second behind Pretorius, who is in turn about a half a second behind Hannes as well. So this battle's still quite tight here up at the top 8 or so positions. See here, Cornet getting very bumpy over the curbs there. He makes his way through the S's. Runs wide, tries to carry as much speed as possible. You can see he's improving a heck of a lot on his delta at the moment, up to 10th and a half. So he is certainly going to be putting some pressure on Pretorius very shortly as they start the main back straight here. He does seem to be a little bit behind though, and he has lost out on his delta, so maybe not having the greatest of exits coming out of turn 5 and 6 there. A little bit further up the field as we go on board with Hannes van Beek. Still looking at the back of Lawrence Sterner here, closes up under braking under that chicane. Turns 10A and B. Tries to carry as much speed as possible down the relatively short main straight. And is he going to have a little look into T1? I think he's a little bit too far behind there. He's going to try and carry as much speed as possible through the S's. As we see Lawrence's car just a little bit of a drift, but I think that was a little bit of network lag on his part, just looking at the pings in the top left. And Hannes maybe just trying to stay safe for the time being, doesn't run as wide as Lawrence, but look at that gap he's managed to close up now, just from the differing lines. And we'll go on board with him now as they turn the corners of 5 and 6 heading onto that back straight. And he's got a lot of traffic behind him as well to contend with, so we'll see if he can make up the gap. Of course, those wings stay shut. There's no DRS on these cars this season. We've got push to pass to play with though, which is new. We see Mark van Rensburg further down the field activating one of his push to passes, trying to make his way up the field. We've got a number of drivers who feel on a bit of a recovery drive. this evening, so it'll be interesting to see how they get along. Gerard Pretorius, I think that was having a little look on the back of Hannes van Beek there, and just decides to tuck back inside. Quick shout out to Carl on stream. Carl, how's it? Thanks for joining, man. Appreciate it. We've had another position change. Morris Skuman has dived his way past Philip Minor. They're still side by side. Philip's taking it back. A little bit of tussling over there. So push to pass active by Morris. You can see the light flashing. He's coming down that back straight there. I think there's a big... Is Philip under big pressure here? As Philip actually just pulls aside. Doesn't really do too much to contest that for now. So Morris up into second position now and looking very strong. But looking at the number of push-to-pass activations he has left, he's already used half of the 10 he started out with, and he's only got 5 remaining. Just behind him we see Jeremy de Villiers also getting past Philip Minard. Has Philip got a problem here? I believe Philip has a problem. He's dived into the pits. I'm trying to get my cameras to focus on him. There he is. So I'm not sure what happened there. Either maybe there was a bit of contact and he decides needs to repair, or he was under all that pressure and decided, you know what, I'm just going to take an undercut pit stop right now and not fight those guys and lose any more time than I am already. Tian Elof, unfortunately, we've just seen disconnect from the server, so he's thrown in the towel, unfortunately. As we see a couple of other cars just moving their way up and down the timing tower, but that is just due to the number of cars in the pits at the moment. We see Ronald Childs finished his pit stop and he's making his way out. He is going to filter back into position 15 or so. Let's have a little look up for the field again. For Cornet is promoted up into P6. And Hans van Veek, I think, is still, yeah, come out in P9. With Hein van Niekerk for Skytrim Sim Racing behind him, tucks in very closely. There might be a little draft. He had a little look there just before the chicane, but tucked back into line. I think he's not close enough yet. Maybe another lap or two. If he gets closer enough, we might see the pass coming. It's actually very close now, coming onto the main straight, heading to T1. We see another car there in the pits. Up the hill, coming through turn 1 and 2 into the S's, and it seems to have dropped down. Has lost a bit of time on his delta there. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on that. We'll come back to him in a bit. Back on Gerard Pretorius now, still comfy in P5. This battle on track right now seems to be still in this mid-pack. There's some good battles going on with Hans van Beek here, just under a second behind Findley. As they come thundering across the start-finish line there. It's a nice view of the pit exit there. Brakes glowing very hot on Hannes' car as he just taps it on just before the S is making his way through. Now we have got a pass. It looks like Gerard Pretorius is dropping a couple positions down. He's got a BWR car on his tail. I'm trying to figure out who that is at the moment. Unfortunately, I cannot see. Is that I don't think that's for position. Apologies for switching around, because the cars immediately in front and behind him are not reflecting on the board. But I do think that I can solve this problem by finding the relative. I can find that now. There we go. So we're currently on board with Gerard Pretorius. There you can see he is just behind car number 15 of Mark van Rensburg, who is technically a blue flag at this stage, but I believe he is on a bit of a recovery drive, and he probably feels that he is fast enough to keep going without impeding the cars in front of us. Just some interesting things we have on this timing board as well, that you may have seen there, aside from the intervals. We've got progress just in terms of how they've done since the start of the race. So Emil de Villiers right up at the top there, obviously staying steady. Marius Skuman, by far the biggest winner of the top few so far, helping up 5 positions. De Villiers up 3. Lawrence Sterner actually up 9 places since the start, so he's had a great start. As we see, Gerard Pretorius battling here with Mark van Rensburg, just trying to make his way through. Just remember, that is a bit of a back marker situation right now. Oh, you're tussling on the front main straight here. Oh, and I think Mark van Rensburg has lost it, and he goes sliding off there. I don't believe I saw any contact there, so that was just a result of them battling hard, and he's teleported back to pits, unfortunately, and has called it quits. So sadly, that is the case. We'll head back up to Lawrence Sterner now. The other interesting thing you can see here, I've got the tire life reflected on the cars. So this is also a good indication for us as to who's actually taking their pit stop or not. Where you can see the majority of the top end of the field has got 19 laps, 18 laps, etc. on their tyres. Joseph van Rensburg has got 9 laps, so he's obviously taken his pit stop. Ruben Kruger 3 laps, though I think that is a not a disqualification, a DNF, should I say, because they are greyed out at this stage. So for now, we'll keep an eye on that, see who's actually pitted or not. And see the back markers that cars are coming up to shortly as well over there. And we'll head back up to the gaps and keep an eye again on what's going on up and down the field. Let's jump to Hein van Niekerk now. It's just about a second behind Hannes van Veck, who's going farming across the S's there by the looks of it. Seemingly recovered okay, but he is down half a second on his delta as a result of that mistake. See, Peter van Rensburg has just used his push to pass, so he's feeling a bit of pressure coming down the main straight with Cornet Brie just behind him. Hard on the brakes to that little flick left-right of turns 10A and B. Seems to have got a good enough gap to Cornet behind him for the time being. Who has just lost a position, but it's because he's dived into the pit lane, so he's coming in for his pit change. Quite curious to see here if I flick to tyre age. That is reflecting 20 laps on the tyre. And as we see him leave, we should in theory see the tyre age reset down to 0 or 1 laps, depending on how they've calculated it. So you see Joseph van Rensburg get past Cornet there, just in the pit stop, so making up there for the early undercut. Quite a long pit stop here for Cornet. So maybe he's repairing a bit of damage, otherwise maybe that's just the time it takes to flip the tires and fill up with fuel. And, I'm assuming it'll update once he crosses the pit exit line and the pit limiter flicks off. In theory. So, interestingly enough, it looks like he hasn't changed the tires, if this app is to be believed, because it's still reflecting 20 laps on the life of the tire. If it is a refresh problem, I'm just going to flick through the tire again, just to see the tire age, but no, Corner is still saying 20 laps, so yeah, perhaps he has chosen not to flip the boots, which is surprising, because that was quite a long pit stop. So we'll have to see later on what his strategy was there. But for now, as we just have a look at some other cars up the field, Sass van der Westhuizen up now into P10. He's just used his first push to pass activation, quite hard over the curbs there, as it's now on a cooldown going through the S's. How's it? TSL Olympic just requesting there what cars we're racing here. So yep, this is the new Formula Supreme by RSS Race Sim Studios. Obviously modeled after the Super Formula series in Japan. It used to be known as the Formula Nippon. See a couple of cars now settling into a rhythm and putting in their PBs. Hans van Veek as well on a really good lap. Norris coming up in second position. Looking pretty good, but a good 16 seconds behind Emile de Villiers, who's still scampering off with this race now, right now, stretching his lead. Now with Joshua van Rensburg. Let's go a little on board with him if we can. Joshua van Rensburg getting tantalizingly close to Sass there just as we followed him through the S's, and it looks like he's definitely going to be making a move here as he tries to move to the outside, or it's going to be the outside of the turn 10 as they hit the bottom of the field, and we'll have to see how hard Sass is going to decide to defend this or not. Sass is technically on the inside line, but I think Joss has already got that move done. So that was a great pass there by Joshua van Rensburg on Sass van der Westhuizen. Sass is not interested in fighting that for the time being, didn't activate his push to pass or anything like that, so perhaps just realizing or recognizing that Joshua hadn't done it himself, so he didn't want to waste the P2P necessarily. Marius van Schoeman in the meantime has used his push to pass yet again, just trying to stay ahead there. That is a back marker, I think, of Fridge Findlay behind him. But now down to just 4 push-to-pass activations remaining, so certainly gobbling them up quite quickly, with still a little over half of the race still to come tonight. So that could be quite interesting. Perhaps he's just desperately trying to make up the distance to Emile de Villiers, but that gap was 16 a couple laps ago. It's now reflecting as 19, so it's becoming just more and more. And almost seems unattainable at this point. We've got Mike Veru, who's just made a pass on Ronald Childs, the two BWR cars rather, having a bit of a tussle there as they go through the chicane of turn 10 just before the pit straight. Mike Veru had a cracking lap there, 0.045 up on his best at the current stage. But he is going to be under pressure from Ronald Childs, who has a big slide coming through turn 1 there. Turn 2 rather. So perhaps that position no longer under threat, just following that little bit of a mistake. Making his way through the S-bends again, the S's, looking to make up the second or so gap to Peter van Rensburg ahead of him, as we can see him just in the foreground of your picture there, leaving in the orange and black SimRace Extreme car. Quane Breed has dived into the pits, coming in for his stop. We've seen a change for the lead, and that is because Emile de Villiers has dived into the pits. What I'm going to do is flick it over to the tire age again, so we can see if there's any change in these. The only change I'm still seeing reflected at the moment is Joseph van Rensburg down in position 10, whose tyre life is flicked onto 17 instead of the 27 odd laps completed by the race. Sharon just pointing out there that yes, indeed, Carrot Pretorius does have the wrong livery selected, unfortunately. He does race for SimRace Extreme Team as well. So they are doing very well for themselves as a team so far in this race. And there indeed, we've seen Emile de Villiers' tyre age flick to 0 laps. So he has definitely changed his tyres. Whereas we saw a couple of other drivers opting not to change their tyres, which is very interesting. Perhaps they felt that they could save a little bit of time in the pits themselves. So Emile de Villiers has come out in position 6, but obviously the few cars ahead of him have yet to pit. Jeremy de Villiers now has just pitted from P2, so he's going to be dropping down the order. Lawrence Sterner has been promoted up into position 2 because of that. Sharon, unfortunately it is up to the drivers themselves to select the correct livery before they join the server. So maybe one of your teammates in SimRace Extreme can nudge Carrot next time just to check or remind him to pick the right one. Morris Kuhlman, meanwhile, has been up into P1 as he just makes his way past a back marker there, I believe. And he's got 3 pushed passes left, so he's still continuing to gobble them up, but he does dive into the pit lane right now. And we'll keep an eye on his tyres as well to see if they get changed or not, which is very interesting to see. There's a couple more cars changed down the order. We've got Carrot Pretorius ramping over the curves there into the S-bends. Scampering across turns 4, getting into 5 and 6. See Emile de Villiers just making his way up the field. Maurice is still stuck in the pits, so very long pit stop for Maurice here. Filling that car up with fuel, flipping the tires, I'm sure. I'm wondering if anything's gone wrong from here, though, because that is an extremely long time to be sitting in the pits. And does look like he is on his way now out of the pits, and his tyre life is still reflecting his 29 laps, so he didn't flip the tires, just opting for fuel at this stage. But certainly a very long pit stop for him, so I'm not sure if anything went wrong there, or if it's just according to plan, maybe repairing a little bit of damage. And he is caught in 5th at the moment. Emile de Villiers, meanwhile, making his way up the field past Fridge Finlay, who still has yet to do his pit stop. And Lawrence Sterner for Odin Racing is currently leading this race. Enjoying a little bit of an onboard there of Lawrence Sterner taking us around Road Atlanta in the Odin Racing livery. Currently enjoying P1, but of course yet to pit. Just picking up on a little bit of chat in the YouTube chat. So Ruben, unfortunately, just giving us a little bit of insight into his DNF. He went for an overtake after the left-hand kink, and he leaned towards the left, and unfortunately found a car that was stranded on track. And didn't notice the yellow flag, so they may not have been waving for some whatever reason. So unfortunate to hear that, Ruben. Better luck next time. And also just hearing a little bit from Mark from Rensburg, who mentioned his DNF was due to hitting a curb and shot into orbit. And yeah, unfortunately, just came into a little bit of trouble trying to unlap himself. We did see that. definitely noticed that, you know, you were trying to unlap yourself. Nothing wrong with that, of course, when you have the pace, but yeah, I think the car just not behaving as you would want to. So having a little bit look down the field now. Let's flick this onto the intervals. We can see the cars mostly spread out. We can just see Peter van Rensburg, who's made his way past Hannes van Veek, but that is because Hannes is choosing to do his pit stop at the moment. For BWR, sailing into his pit box. Coming to a stop. Back up to Mario Skuman now in P4, making his way up, and is probably going to pass Joseph van Rensburg, who has just also driven into the pits as well for Sim Race Extreme. So Marius is certainly going to be gaining those two positions again. I think coming out essentially net position 2 at the moment, because Lawrence Stern is yet to pit. So Lawrence certainly seems to be going long into this race. The pit window only open for another 15 minutes. It looks at this stage that he might be doing a little bit of a splash and dash. As we see Philip Minnaar just get past Joseph van Rensburg just from being in the pits. No sort of action there at this stage. Philip having a little bit of a quiet race at this stage. No action that I've seen him in at the moment. Fridge getting past Joseph in the pits, as does Peter van Rensburg. Joshua leaving the pits now. We can have a quick check on whether he actually took tyres or not. He did indeed. Those tyres have flicked over to 0 laps life. Just have a look up the field again. Lawrence Sterner just got Mike LaRue, a little bit of a back marker behind him, coming into turn 10 there. See Emile de Villiers making his way through some back marker traffic as well. So that's certainly what these race leaders are going to have to contend with at this stage, is that firm blue flag showing, as you can see from the relative times on that tower. Flick that back to intervals. See, Lawrence Sterner has decided to take his pit stop, so he's dived in. That has given Emile de Villiers the race lead back. You see Hein van Niekerk, I've seen him just had an off-track excursion there. His name flashed up in red, which means he's left the track for some reason. So maybe he had a little bit of a mistake there. As Marius makes his way past Lawrence, who's in the pit now as well. We've got Ronald Childs, who's just made up a position on Hans van Veek, who seems to be slipping down the order a little bit. Oh, it's because he's in the pits now as well. It's just the Lee Forster here having a bit of a battle with Cornet Breed just in front of him. I'm going to jump up to Philip Minnaar quickly, who is 0.1 seconds behind Lawrence Sterner. This is for position as they're going on into P5. Lawrence desperately trying to defend against Philip, but I fear it may be too little too late, because you're onto the main back straight now. Will they use push to pass, any of them, to defend their position? Is Philip going to rely on the slip? Any of them using push to pass for now, and Philip just happy to stay behind Lawrence at this stage, perhaps biding his time. We'll see what happens. Ridge Findlay just behind them, biting into a little push to pass of his own. Let's go on board here with Philip Minnaar as he tries to make the gap up to Lawrence Sterner ahead of him. What we can also do is just hop on board with Lawrence and look behind, just to see where Philip's going to make his move. Drop back by Philip there. I'm not sure if he's going to be close enough now to challenge onto the main back straight. Philip has used his push to pass, so you can see that little green light blinking. He is thinking now is the time as he goes side by side. He's trying to squeeze his way into that inside line. As they come up on back market traffic now with a BWR car, that is going to complicate matters and perhaps compromise issues, but he's kept that inside line just ahead of Lawrence, who's now got the inside line for turn 1 though. Or leading into the main straight rather, not turn 1. But he will maintain it leading up to turn 1 coming up shortly. As that BWR car staying in the mix as well, just to keep things fresh. And interesting, he's had a massive spin and he keeps it going. That is phenomenal car control, how he can keep that going after suffering that mini spin. That is fantastic. Fortunately, being reminded that instant replays are not available for AC. But yeah, you can rewind that on stream later and have a look. That was fantastic. Oh, he's making a little bit of mistake there. You can see how bumpy the car got over those curbs. I do want to quickly see the relative of who that back marker is. I think it's Ronald Childs in the BWR car, just getting caught up in there. As we can see, Philip now trying to squeeze that inside line again, coming through turn 10, A and B, the little chicane. We'll go on board with Philip here quickly. They're now both into full-on attack/defend mode as their push-to-passes are both in full, and you can see that Lawrence didn't get an optimal line there exiting that first turn. But given how narrow and twisted this section of the track is, it's definitely not a position or place you want to be making a passing attempt. That is just going to be a recipe for disaster. It'll have to be done here. Coming out of brick, we try to brake very late, braking into 5, 6 coming onto the back straight. He's going to have to be a little patient, I think, but that is phenomenal defending from Lawrence. Just recovering after that spin as well to stay up ahead. And maintaining P5 for the time being. And Lawrence Stern lives to fight another day at this stage. We're going to keep an eye on them very closely as they make their way through turn 1. We do know that they're going through the S's now. Surely no move going to be made now. I do want to hop to Ronald Childs and Cornet Breed, who are flipping positions as we speak. So Cornet's managed to get his way past there just at the start of the S's. Yeah, we are back up on Philip Minor and Lawrence Sterner here now, which is still the closest battle on track as we speak. Again, I'm going to hop on board with Lawrence as they hit the back straight. See the effects of the draft. He's definitely pulling it in. Surely there's going to be a move attempt made now. Lawrence is tugging that inside line, but I think there's enough of an overlap now for Philip. Because side by side there is touching. As they go down into turn 10, is he going to be ahead? Oh, there is a minor bit of contact. I had to mute there, I'm sorry, I was choking. Minor bit of contact, and unfortunately Lawrence was the receiving end. There may be a steward's request coming just for how that played out, otherwise it might just be chalked up as a racing incident. But fortunately Lawrence is still able to maintain the car going in the right direction and is still in a strong position here, only losing up that 1 position to Philip Minor. As we see, unfortunately there's been a DNF from up front. Peter van Rensburg, for whatever reason, has disconnected from the server. That is a big loss, unfortunately, and that promotes Fridge Findlay up position. That's his line now as he continues to drop down the order. So fantastic. We'll see if Lawrence Sterner, hopefully no real damage on that car, just a little bit of light contact and then leaving the track, I feel. I don't think there are any barriers or anything involved. He has 4 push-to-pass activations remaining, so does Philip, so we'll see if we can close the gap again, and we can enjoy the battle once again of those 2 cars approaching each other. Nick, I really wish I had a replay function. That would have been epic to see again. Bouncing around now, back on with Joseph van Rensburg in P7. Looking very strong. He is also on fresh boots compared to the rest of the field, so we'll see if he can improve before the end of the race. Just a little over a quarter of an hour left, and just over 5 minutes of the pit window remaining as well, for those who haven't taken their pit stop yet. Hans van Beek just getting past Peter van Rensburg. Van der Heever at the back as well, making his way up to P16 now. Ryan Van for Skytrim Sim Racing, currently in P9, so well into the top 10, having a good drive as well. And yeah, the majority of the field spread out right now. Peter van Rensburg has gone off track. He's currently facing the wrong way, unfortunately, so he's had another little bit of a spin, unfortunately. Just trying to right the car. Fortunately, no real traffic coming. He needs to watch his rejoin now, but he is yielding safely by the looks of it, and merges nice and smoothly onto the back straight. Should see lots of cars pulling past him now, ample space of course. Gerard Pretorius in P3 currently just bits into another push to pass activation while it's on cooldown now, so he's trying to push his way up and catch up the gap to Marius Skuman in P2. Oh, he's had a big off there as he slides going over the hill. And seemingly keeps it steady on track, but that has put him under pressure, I think, from... is that Jeremy de Villiers behind him? We'll need to have a look at the relatives again, just to see who exactly was behind him. No, it's a back marker of Mike LaRue, so no real threat there, but I think Mike LaRue is looking to unlap himself, so he will slot in front of Gerard Pretorius, and likely keep that gap open and healthy. As Gerard Pretorius says, "Thank you very much, I'll take that position back," as he drafts him down the main straight and passes just before turn 1. A little bit further down the field now, back onto Philip Minard and Lawrence Sterner, who has dropped about 4 seconds behind Philip now. So he's still got a little bit of work to do. He does have a car behind him that looks like it might be Corne Breer, just judging by that red and black livery. It is indeed. Let's see Corne putting all sorts of pressure right now on Lawrence. He'll also try and effectively make his way up past the one lap himself. And from Nico's just made a move on Fridge. Is Fridge dropping down? He's only dropped in one place. I'm not sure if that was a mistake. It didn't look like very close contact or interval on track. Jeremy de Villiers, who we are watching, has just activated his push to pass coming down the back straight. He's trying to make up some time to Gerard Pretorius. He is the closest battle for position on track currently. Was 3 seconds behind, is now just gone under 2.7 following that push to pass activation, so he's managed to jump a good 2/10. Gap does open to 3 seconds again, but he does go a PB over 102.648 across the line. McAloo just making him a pass on Hans van Beek here, who has dived into the pits though. So that is not as a result of action on track. We see a BWR car getting well out of the way there. I believe that was just essentially trying to yield for blue flag markers, and unfortunately do see Hannes van Beek is disconnected from the service. So unfortunate DNF there for him. Pit lane about to close, only 43 seconds remaining, but I do believe... Oof, Cornet is having a spin here. Unfortunately, did not see what happened to him. Might be the result of a little mistake. He spins himself back in the right direction and rejoins the track safely. Yeah, pit lane is essentially closing. I do believe everyone who needs to have pitted by now has indeed pitted. We'll have another quick look at the tire age, just out of curiosity. Emile de Villiers right at the top has the youngest tire life out of the top 6 or so cars, so he opted to change his tires during the pit stop. Joseph van Rensburg being the only other driver in the top 10, or even further down the field, who have changed his tires. 13-14 laps of life in them as well. Here we see the overall gaps on the tower now presented. So Emile de Villiers, Marius Schoeman about 30 seconds behind him, Carapatoris 44, de Villiers 48, Philip Manor 56, and then essentially the cars have been lapped up to that point. Pit stops, this is interesting as well. We can actually see the number of pit stops that cars have taken. So the entire field has taken one. Joseph van Rensburg has stopped twice. I think he took a very early stop and then stopped again, same for Cornet. Mike Leroux has stopped 3 times, so I'm sure there's a little bit of damage repair going in there, as is Peter van Rensburg. Relative times now, we can just see, just due to the battles on track, who's actually hopping around right now. We've got Cornet Breed coming up on the back of Joseph van Rensburg. Back on board with Marius Schoeman. We're still 8 seconds behind the next back marker, essentially himself. So 8 minutes left. The field's pretty spread out so far. I think, barring any mistakes or incidents, this is most likely where most drivers are going to end up. Emile de Villiers still up in front, about to reach 50 laps. And a healthy lead over Marius Schoeman, who we are currently viewing in P2. He's had a very strong race. In fact, that's a good opportunity to talk about the progress, where Marius has jumped 5 positions up from his qualifying, so a really solid finish for him coming up here. Carapatoris in P3 has made up 2 positions, so I'm sure he is stoked with his podium finish upcoming, barring any commentator's curse, that is. Jeremy de Villiers also doing really well, gaining 2 positions. Philip Manor, unfortunately losing out so far, has just dropped 1 position though, not too bad. Still in the top 5, very good. Lawrence Sterner having a cracking race, up 7 positions from his qualifying, so doing really well there for Odin Racing. Joseph van Rensburg has dropped 5 positions since the start, and then we have a big winner here, Hein van Niekerk, doing fantastically for Skytrim Sim Racing, up 11 positions from qualifying, so he's had an extremely great race. Everything seems to have gone according to plan as he bites into another push to pass as the green lights go flashing. Bridge Findlay also up a position, so having a good, stable, solid race. And Sas van der Westhuizen has been up 5 positions, as we just see him getting past a back marker there. But also, yeah, enjoying a very good race, up 5 positions. So we can just flick to the relative just to see who we was having a tussle with there. may not have been Pretorius getting past him, otherwise De Villiers behind him. Sounds like I hear a car going off into the grass, but the timing tower hasn't indicated anyone out of bounds at this stage. We see Sass coming up for and passing, I believe that might be Cornet Breed, just getting out of the way there, yep. A couple more push to pass activations bopping around the field. Pretorius has just bit into another going down the main straight, just 5 minutes left. I'm sure drivers are keeping a careful eye on the number of activations they have remaining. One thing that is just phenomenal right now is Emile De Villiers still has all 10 that he started with in the bag. He just hasn't needed them. He just scampered off at the top and hasn't had anyone to challenge him behind. So, yep, if you're watching this and you are not actually driving as we speak, and you feel you're a really quick driver and you want to come and challenge some of the quote-unquote aliens we have here, please do. There are opportunities. We don't close the sign-ups at any point. You can join at any time. You can just slot right in. Philip Minot biting another push to pass as he goes through the S's. Marius Skuman in P2 has effectively 0 push to pass activations remaining. But he is seemingly quite comfortable in his P2 right now, 30 seconds behind Emile, but a good healthy 14.5 seconds ahead of his teammate Pretorius in P3. We'll go on board with Fridge Finley quick, who is 2 seconds behind Hein van Niekerk. Still pretty much on par with his Delta, so having some good consistency. Or as I say that, I am so sorry, Fridge, a little bit of a commentator's curse, and he has a big slide but manages to collect that car and avoids going off track or hitting the barriers or even worse. So great car control there though, Fridge, to recover from that. And just losing out now about 2.5 seconds off his Delta, but fortunately no positions lost. We see Sass van der Westhuizen activate his push to pass. You can see the green light blinking and the red lights blinking on the back of his car. So he comes down the main straight, 3 minutes left and 3 push to passes remaining, so we should see him pretty much activated, 1 per lap at least. He's got about 4.8 seconds to make up on Fridge, but I think it's a little bit too much to ask unless Fridge makes another mistake or two. But I think the drivers of this caliber, you're not going to see them making more than 1 mistake in a row in quick succession, touch wood. Ronald Childs just behind Sass there, or in terms of track position, using another push to pass there as we see a couple of cars in the background. So Arnold having a good race as well, up 3 positions from his start, and on qualifying position. Lee Foster also having a very strong race, up 9 positions from qualifying, so he's having a great race so far as we see him trying to get a little look around that Simrace Extreme car up ahead of him. He is coming up to the back marker of Rob van der Heever. Certainly getting really close there. We'll see what Rob does. I think he's just going to glide smoothly out of the way for Lee Foster. Very good abiding by the blue flags there. Not defending the position, which is essentially the rule we have. Jeremy de Villiers holding steady in P4. So strong finishing for the de Villiers team tonight. P1 and P4 by the looks of it, with just under 45 seconds remaining of this race before we head into the final lap. P5 just biting another push to pass there as he goes down the main back straight. So a solid finish for him in P5 for Grumpy Monkey Sim Racing. So we see the leader, Emile de Villiers, currently on the final lap. So he is going to be rounding that corner and pulling off the race line. Static with his P1 there. Congrats, Emile. We'll see Marius Skuman coming down the back straight now in effective P2. Just about to finish up his lap. There is P2 across the line safely for Marius Skuman. We've got Carapatorius also making his way out of the chicane turns of turn 10 A and B. So safely home, rounding up the podium for Sim Race Extreme. So a solid 2-3 for them. I'm sure they're going to be very happy with that result. Jeremy de Villiers rounding the final corner to come home in P4. Has he actually passed the line? For some reason that is timing board is at least. Oh no, he has passed the line. Checkered flag has been shown. So that is the entire field as they stand. So very big congrats to everyone for finishing tonight. This is certainly not an easy racetrack. I'm going to go and find any interview peeps we have. Let's just see who's around for an interview. I see Carapatorius diving in. I see Marius Skuman diving in. So that's position 2 and 3. Not sure if Emile's going to join us, but we can see what they have. Got Peter van Rensburg as well. So let's pull them in. Howdy, chaps. I've pulled all three of you in. Carat, Marius, and Peter. How are you guys doing?
You're right.
Marius. Yeah, good. Thanks, guys. Certainly a very strong finishing for Sim Race Extreme team tonight. Well done, chaps. Emile de Villiers obviously coming in first. I don't see him here for an interview, but yeah, it looks like he scampered away with the victory today. But a solid showing by Sim Race Extreme P2. Marius, you must be very ecstatic with that. How'd it go?
Very happy. I had a bit of a sliding moment in the beginning, so I took it a bit careful. So yeah, I couldn't find my rhythm until the end of the race, but yeah, not too bad.
Awesome. All right, and Carapatorius, congrats on your P3 rounding up the podium as well. Strong finish.
Yeah, thank you very much. I enjoyed it. It was quite a battle in the beginning stint, but settled down in half. Lost off of the race.
Tell me, did your guys' pit stop strategies all go according to plan? I'm not sure if it maybe just takes that long to pit, but Marius, for example, it seemed like you're in the pits for a very long time.
Yeah, Ryan, what I tried to do was pit halfway. This car seems to have a drop-off if you put too much fuel in on this track.
Oh, yeah.
So unlike Zandvoort, we opted to go 50-50. Well, Farad took up a bit more fuel in the beginning. So his pit stop definitely was a bit quicker than mine.
Yeah.
But at the end, it all worked out, I think.
That's very interesting. And I saw some drivers in the field opted to change tires. Emile did, for instance, but it looked like you guys decided to keep the same pair of boots on and just full fuel? Or?
No, I changed fuel and tires, eh?
Oh, is it? Okay, maybe my timing tower was showing something funky, but all good. Yeah, we were showing some new graphics on stream today, so it's just having a look through those. Alright, brilliant. thanks very much for joining, guys, and I'm sure we're going to see you in the next round, which is Accapone Raceway, which is a fictitious track set in the Italian sort of field. I'm not sure if you guys have raced it before or not. I think it did feature in some form last year. It may have been on the TC side though, so yeah, interesting to see how the Formula Supreme gets on there. But all the best, guys, for your preparation, and we'll see you in the next round.
Thanks, Ryan. Keep well.
Cheers, guys. Have a good evening.
Thanks.
Ciao, ciao.
Okay, bye.